Oh,
You're on mute, Bernie.
I'm muted. All right. I just realized I was like, oh dear. Oh dear. Okay. Well, here we are. It is Woo Woo Wednesday on a Thursday, which is now Friday, because we by the time that 6-minute intro ended, it's now past midnight on the West Coast where Hans is joining us from, and it turned to Friday an hour ago here in Mountain Time, Alberta, Canada. But whatever, we were already a day late, so what's making it 2? That's okay. Hans, how are you?
It's always right now, Bernie. It's always right now.
Right? It's the present. That's why it is a present, because we're living in it. And here we are.
The past is mystery. The future is history. The present is a gift. So let's live it up now. Anyway, thank you for having me back on. It's been a minute.
Always a pleasure. It has.
Last time I was on here, yeah, it was 4th of July. Gotta apologize to myself. I was a little out of it that night, and
no worries, my friend.
Yeah,
as a good American, you should have been so. Right? Like, how can we argue with that?
Right. Anyway, yeah, lots happened. I went to Rob Potter's Mount Shasta summer event, which was amazing. I spoke, Friday morning at 9 a.m. I always get these 9 a.m. slots, but hey, whatever. I started with about 10, 15 people, and, the room was packed within a few minutes because everybody's there in the camp, and so people came to see it. So I lectured about the Dropa. It was awesome. I'm going to be speaking again in Vegas in October 17th through 20th. I don't know what the dates are. I'm speaking yet. I think you're frozen, Bernie.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So, sorry, my friend Nathan, whose account we're using. I just sent him an email asking in the morning for him.
Oh, we lost Bernie. Shoots. Well, anyway, when he gets back on, I went down to Mount Shasta in July, and it was amazing. Never been down there. Had a little mishap on the way down somewhere outside of Roseburg, Oregon, which is in the middle of nowhere. Stone flew up through my grill and punctured my radiator. And so, I had to stop, turn around, limp up a hill. Had some crazy issues, got towed finally out of that. And then got another car and actually made it down to the event. And so it was really amazing. It was up at this near Castle Lake, which was really an amazing spot. Beautiful water, great to swim in. A couple of us went up there twice, had a good time. But yeah, we were basically there at this amazing event. 4 days, lots of vendors, great stuff. Where are you at, Bernie? Hold on a sec. I'll try and get a hold of our host. Back in a moment, folks. Anyhow, not quite sure what happened to Bernie. Hopefully he gets back on. Anyway, so tonight we were going to talk about something that my father brought up a couple of years ago. It was around 2016, 2017. He started diving into things that I never thought my father would dive into. My father is a cultural anthropologist. He did a lot of his work in Nepal. And for me growing up around that, it was very fascinating because I got to see some of the stuff that he was interested in. And he would always joke based on his different job types. So one of his jobs was being a social forester. And so a friend of mine joked with him one day and said, "What is a social forester, Don?" And my dad looks at him all sternly and he goes, "A social forester is somebody that talks to trees." And so one day he joked about microchloral anthropology. And so what is that? Well, it's the study of little green men, aliens. And so it's interesting that he started getting into these topics, now in his later years. My father's in his 80s. And so in 2017, he sent me this very interesting article about this radio wave that was found in space that repeats every 20 minutes. I believe it comes from a similar region as to the WOW event in the 1970s that SETI picked up and kind of became the spark of the book Contact that Carl Sagan had written, and then it turned into pretty much a movie. So in 2017, my dad is sending me this article on these radio waves, and I'm sitting there going, I wonder what exactly that is, because also at this time or shortly thereafter, we received these radio waves from I'm not exactly sure where they were coming from, but are we back?
I'm back. Sorry about that.
I'm like halfway into.
And we got Ben. Ben, welcome, Ben.
So continuing on, my father sent me this article in 2017, which I actually share with BurnEye, about these radio waves that were coming from a certain sector in space. And so it's interesting because I started pulling up articles around this, thinking of the WOW event and then Contact. And I'm like, well, why are they coming up with this now? Because this is now the second or third time that they've discovered this burst of radio waves. I think it repeats every 20 or 22 minutes coming from a specific sector of space. And so my thought is there's other information around here. And then NASA comes out with this interesting article about synthetic DNA and how it will help us discover alien life. And this kind of blew me away. And so I shared it with my father, and he turned around and he sent me a bunch of other stuff that he had been researching into. And I started thinking about that. I'm like, synthetic DNA. Well, in Contact, we were sent radio signals, right? And we were sent basically a 3D configuration of a device that could send our mind, body, and spirit, a Merkaba device in a sense, to Vega. Well, interestingly, Oumuamua seems to also come from the trajectory of Vega. I thought more, serious, but that is also in that direction during time and space. And so
that's pretty epic. And talk about a 5D quantum experience.
Well, right, yeah. And so Jodie Foster's character doesn't actually go to Vega. She does in her mind, but in our real time, she just falls through the device. And so I was thinking, well, if we're getting radio signals and NASA's coming out with this synthetic DNA to, find alien life.
Okay, I missed that part. So NASA's doing synthetic DNA, quote unquote, to somehow find alien life.
Yeah, look at the articles I sent you in the.
Do you mind putting them in the private chat so I can pull them up?
Oh God, could I? Oh yeah, hold on, let me.
Or just load them yourself and we can share.
I'm having some issues with that, so I will just send them to you here. Hold on again. So this is the.
Nathan, feel free to join in if you want.
This is one of them, but it's not. It's like clues about deep space. That's not really the one I want. Is it this one? Why am I not finding? Oh, here it is. Bingo. There it is. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Bam.
There we go. Open that up. Uh-oh. Never a straight answer. We're going to never a straight answer for
Actually,
answer.
this has been, yeah, exactly. And this is where, this is kind of what I was
total real image. Definitely
of course.
filmed by
No.
Just kidding. Sorry. Anyways.
But it's that, and you gotta scratch your head over this.
Research creates DNA-like molecule to aid search for alien life.
So think about what happened in Contact. Okay, we receive this 3D device to take us to Vega, but we're also receiving a radio signal now. And I'm in my background mind with my dad going back and forth with these crazy conversations. I was like, well, what if we were sent, this synthetic DNA to create a being or a life here instead of going there? And so instead of something like projected panspermia, you could send your own prototype here as a genetic cousin of sorts, an avatar for, a consciousness. And so this was the random conversation my father and I were having back and forth. And that's where I was starting this. And I was really blown away with this, because also in this year, and here's the other one that really kind of blew my mind. This one showed up on a lot of places, but of course on CBS. So see bullshit, right?
See the BS, right?
Yeah. This ended up in Forbes and a whole bunch of other things. So check this one out.
Okay.
Yeah, check the other link out I just sent you.
CBS News. BS.
I see it all day long. Yes.
That's why there's a
just read the headline and you got to scratch your head. And so this showed up on
there
CNN,
may be more.
And
36,
which is such a magical
36.
number.
33 plus 3, Illuminati aliens
369, right? Exactly. So the question is, how do we know this? Are we eavesdropping on their conversations, or are we part of these conversations?
Right, exactly. More likely, are we having the conversations?
Are we part of these 36 communicating intelligent alien civilizations? Come on.
So we hacked their system. Are we spying?
This all came out within a month of each other. These 3 articles. Okay, so this DNA,
pretty fascinating.
These radio telemetry waves bursting every 20 or 22 minutes in a pulse. It's a specific pulse. And so
I do remember
obviously there's energy transfer, and they're going, oh, it's a dead star and it's giving off radio.
It's dead. It's just producing energy pulsing every 2 like what?
Right. And so these 3 articles, are kind of back to back. And so then what else happened in 2017? Well, this is kind of when To the Stars Academy, TTSA, got to give, Farrell and Dark Journalists a little credit for this one, because they were going through it at that time. And so here we have, this bass player of Blink 182 or whatever. Bass player. And he's surrounded by, all these 3-letter intelligent agency people. And one of them is this character, Lou Elizondo. And so he starts coming out and he's talking disclosure, but they're trying to control a narrative. For
those who don't know Lou Elizondo's history, in his own book he just published, he talks about how he was torture agent, intelligence agent for the CIA at Guantanamo Bay, for one, and that he was also an agent of like misinformation department of like informational warfare, and then all of a sudden comes out and claims that he ran some alien investigative group committee
A-tip
for the
or whatever.
Pentagon, that doesn't even exist, and it's all just a psyop. Lou Elizondo, if you don't know, is a psyop.
He's a disinformation agent. Okay, so anyway, that comes out, and then shortly after that, they start doing all these funding hearings in Washington D.C., and they start funding Space Force and other anomalous organizations after these weird disclosures start coming out. And so part of that was actually these last years with Grosh's testimonies. But anyway, not quite my field. But in 2017, the whole TTSA and Lou Elizondo piece was coming out, as well as all of these articles. And so again, my dad and I were going back and forth on this, and I was pretty blown away that he was into some of these topics, because
most humans
it is interesting when he taught at Washington State University. The guy next to him was Grover Krantz. And so Grover Krantz was the infamous Bigfoot expert. When he died, he wanted himself exhumed with his dead dog. He had one of these huge dogs. What's that? Sorry.
This article was 2017? Or no? This was recent 2017, the one on
2017 is also when Oumuamua came through. Yes.
Yeah. So okay, exactly, because in this article it says
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, all these events happened within this year, and so Oumuamua is coming from Vega, right? In contact, we received messages from Vega. Yeah. So there's all these things that are overlapping, and my father's kind of connecting the dots with me, and I was very impressed by this. And yeah, some of this is in my Dropa book, because scientists the next year it's in Scientific American. It's been in a bunch of articles
this year.
I'm not sure. I haven't actually.
Didn't Oumuamua re-enter?
I think it's on the other. It's on the other side of the. It's on the other side of the sun or something. It's still somewhere close to us. That's why they're thinking of launching a mission.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like it changed its trajectory after leaving our solar system and is about to come back and re-enter our solar system.
Wait, wasn't this the asteroid that they used in James Bond's Spectre? Classic. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was just like, wait, wasn't that the...
So they've been in knowledge of this for a while, right? And it's such fake BS. See, Avi Loeb, he's actually trying to get a little bit of the truth of what this really is and what's going on out there. Right?
I saw him at
an asteroid doesn't just stop, change direction, and then re-enter.
No, it does. It slows down and course corrects.
How is
he? I saw him lecture there. I didn't chat with him.
And now since then it stopped. Yeah, because it's like after it left our solar system, it then stopped, and then was around some other bigger asteroids or something, and stopped next to them, and then changed direction and came back and is re-entering our solar system, apparently, from what I've read. But you can't really find too much on that. It seems to be covered up. So
that's why ChatGPT is better than Google. It does the best web crawl. Wow, this is interesting. This is so staged. It's fascinating. But hey, it's CBS this morning.
See the BS. Boom. There it is.
Well, so it's interesting because in 1973, Arthur C. Clarke wrote Rendezvous with Rama. And so it predicts 150 years from now, this cigar-shaped object, tube, kind of like what we would see in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, that big space probe that comes in, right? It's got the whale alien brain that comes out and is kind of shaking up Earth and destroying it, and Kirk and Spock and McCoy have to use the Klingon bird of prey to slingshot around the sun, go back in time, collect 2 humpback whales, come back to the future. Okay, anyway. So Rendezvous with Rama is kind of a tube like that, but it's like 50 kilometers in length and, you know, several kilometers wide. And it's also spinning end over end, which is creating this artificial gravity inside of it, which is what Oumuamua was doing in 2017. This year I was having this amazing conversation with my dad.
Right, like just so many anomalous, yet what you would see in technology and intelligently designed and controlled systems happening there.
Right.
Clearly not an asteroid.
So again, back to Rendezvous with Rama, it's interesting that these two objects have almost the same story. And so what was Arthur C. Clarke in the know of, right? I mean, he kind of predicted and foresaw over a lot of things. He was talking about Iapetus before any of us really had seen pictures of it coming back from even the Voyager times. You know, here's this yin yang, you know, moon of Saturn that's just it's the moon with a view, right? It's such a fascinating topic. Saturn. We keep coming back to that one.
It is. It's the gatekeeper, that 6-dimensional whatever the heck it is.
So now that you're back, I've told my story. How are things with you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I've been working on the Alchemy a bit more and trying to get more of Sir Isaac Newton's papers, memoirs, and treatises on alchemy and getting them translated and deciphering them. But sadly, I wanted to read some off tonight, but sadly on my computer, it just gives Latin. On my phone, it gives me the app to translate it to English. Thus, feeling kind of useless with that right now. Let's see. Oh, can we get some English? I don't know. Hopefully so. But I've been unable. It's still about 50-60% of his writings that I haven't gone back through in English translations so far to try to find it, but I hope it's not expunged. I'm pretty sure I did get an English translation of the treatise that wasn't that it was in when I originally read it, and it was missing huge portions that were edited out.
This is this one that you're showing right now.
Yeah, and
it's got a bunch of lined out areas. It looks like a QRC, like to PDF conversion, was reading this and just couldn't pick up all the letters. Interesting.
Indeed. And so I've yet to welcome Ben. Good to have you, Ben. This is Hans. This is Ben. Right?
Namaste. Hello.
Yeah, it's 3:30 in the morning where I am.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah.
Where are you located?
Michigan.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oof. Yeah. It's going to be one of those nights. Gosh darn it.
Going to be one of those days. But
yeah,
that's
I'm
okay.
probably not going to stick around for too much longer. I'm just here for a little bit.
Fair enough.
Welcome to the fold.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Sorry, I'm just getting my, there we go. Let's get this in order.
No worries.
Good
to have you, Ben. What's been up to working on next?
I actually just put out a bunch of epic shorts on my channel. If you haven't seen them,
I've been seeing those.
Yeah.
What's your channel?
Beneficence TV. If you go to Beneficence TV, Check out the last one that I posted because it's really good.
Do you want to bring it up and we can play it?
Yeah, I'll bring it up. Give me 1 second.
Boom. And anywho, so I'm gonna get
there you
the
are.
actual
Awesome.
English.
Got it. Sorry, what, Bernie? Cut you out there.
So I'm going to be getting the proper English translations of Isaac Newton's writings and starting to do episodes reading through them and deciphering them. And one of the main things when you read it is you have to understand when the alchemists are talking about impregnating metals, like putting in feces, different like really disgusting weird things. It's in fact not describing doing those disgusting things, but different processes of the metal reactions in the electrochemical systems.
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry, Ben. Let you hit play there.
An A for making do with what you. Yeah, definitely. I didn't see anybody else trying to follow in Daniel Nunez's footsteps, so I had to step up. And I kind of spent a little bit too much on equipment here, but I think in the long run it's worth it because, I think they were onto something, and they kind of like just disappeared, and their research with it, which is kind of a shame. But as you can see here, it's kind of being revived, so it's not going to go missing again for sure. Joe says you get an A for making. It says more.
Yeah, for sure. It's not going to go missing again, everybody. So if you are not aware, I did put together
open source.
Yeah, I put together a do-it-yourself guide. You can get them in a lot of my videos description. But the main source is the video that's titled 155% efficiency, 0-point energy solved ? So I'll put that in the chat momentarily if anybody's interested in checking that out.
Sadly, no, on the right browser, I can't join the chat. I'm like, there's so many great
You think
conversations there. Thank you, everybody in the chat.
Oh, you're having trouble hearing, you said?
No, chatting because he's got the wrong browser. He can hear.
Yeah, I'm on the wrong browser. I got to sign into my other browser. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot. I hit the right browser.
StreamYard allows us to see all the pooled chats. It's really neat.
Yeah, no, I like that. Anyway, no, that's amazing stuff. Wow. So, Tesla coil on steroids.
Basically, yeah. It's what I was explaining in the demo video is it's not basically anything different than what Tesla was doing, only it's taking it a little bit further and following the natural path of free-flowing energy in that geometry with the coil. So Nice. It's kind of like an all-in-one system, and you don't have to have like a spark gap and all that stuff, and it acts as a Tesla coil, a resonant circuit, and step up, step down, 1-to-1 transformer. It's very, very impressive stuff.
My uncle bought two Tesla coil towers, and he used them before he passed away. He was using them with his patients to lay between them, charge them up, and then you'd have this healing effect. It was really amazing. I laid on the table several times and was blown away by how you feel after like 10 minutes of just laying there. You're like, oh my God.
First Step Energies was doing experimenting with that. I wasn't, I don't have any say on that. We can't really touch on the medical side of that.
No worries. Not prescribing it as anything. I was just very fascinated.
Right. But I will say that I have tried the rodent coil on my toe, and I didn't notice any difference. But I was resonating at 432 hertz, so I don't know if there's a specific, frequency range or whatever. But
there could be, obviously.
Yes. You want to be doing the 432 on that, but then it's also adding extra solfeggios into it, I believe. And Ben, I was gonna make sure that you're able to join in. I've been corresponding with Sheila Kamen of that did the plasmoid unification through coherent geometry presentations at the Cosmic Summit.
The Cosmic Summit. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So she's gonna, from her experiments in technology and science that she's working on, is exactly that. And that if you've seen the Cosmic Summit one, at the end of the 2 hours, she gets into explaining fully, actually I guess it's about 2/3 way through, the difference between 432 and 440 and how it's a different fractal set of integers when scaling in harmonic systems. And that's where the real importance of 432 for the sake of quantum coherence in the energy fields over 440, which just gives you a scattered fractal field instead of a coherent
field, yeah.
Her work is absolutely amazing. For anybody who hasn't seen it, she pretty much like gave evidence to support the plasmoid unification model by giving us a visual of what these frequency ranges that Malcolm came up with on his model. And she put these frequency ranges all in, you know, because they're grouped together in different categories. You put them together and they create this this coherent wave form that you don't see in any other a waveform. It's quite amazing stuff.
It really is. And so I'm just putting together a response email for her with a few links of my own work, because I truly believe what she's doing and the quantum or coherent geometry frequency science is the next missing link in making my alchemical electrochemistry cold fusion process fully usable and efficient and all of it. It's like literally what I had been envisioning over the last 15 years since like making my original discoveries in this stuff of the next step that is needed, especially with it fitting into the plasmoid unification model and the fact that the ormus or monoatomic materials seem to be a plasma state, and that it's by putting in that right geometry into it with the resonant coherent frequencies while you have the electrolysis making the atomic hydrogen and oxygens that will then bond onto the metals that I have as the electrodes on the anodes and cathodes when they're in the activated metamaterial red and crystalline pink states that Isaac Newton states are when you're able to transmutate one metal element to another.
Well,
no,
it's amazing. We're making connections here. We're making connections.
This is really amazing. I've actually never looked over this. This is a great model. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe Ben, do you mind bringing up the plasmoid unification model?
Yes, let's bring it up and delve into it a little bit, because it is fascinating and it's something that I've wanted to get into for
all of us, right?
Thank you for sharing this. This is right up my alley.
I do have an introductory chapter. I do have an introductory chapter on the plasmoid unification model if you want me to bring that up as well.
Go to ascensiondynamics.org. Hold on, let me I guess I'll share this in the chat. This is really fascinating. There it is. Boom.
Boom, boom. All right.
Oh, let me stop this.
Oh, okay, here we go. All right. Oh, Malcolm Bendels. Okay.
Yeah, scroll down and you get this.
There we go. There's the one.
Wow. What?
Yeah. So.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on here.
I get it. This is so fascinating.
But the basic fundamentals is it's broken down into 4 sections here. You can see
Scroll
The eighth-
down. Bernie, sorry.
Okay, yeah, let's start with the lower left quadrant of the graph here. So you can see it's broken up into 4 quadrants. The first is matter on the lower left hand. The second is time. And then on the upper hand, left hand, you have aether.
Scroll down, Bernie.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Other
it's
way,
the other
other
way,
way.
a little bit.
Sorry, up.
Up.
up, up.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
A little bit more.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the upper part of the graph, we have aether on the left, and on the right, we have sun. So the aether is pretty much the DC energy at rest. So when all that energy that you're using in your circuits and all that, when it's at rest and it's down converted back into the ether, that is what that is. It's in that super fluid and it's just ready to be used. And the sun is able to imprint frequencies onto the ether to actually create tangible matter. So that's where matter
DNA.
comes from.
Yep. This is that's
where
DNA, literally.
Right. And if you scroll down a little bit,
More.
and the way it does this is with time. So remember, frequency is just work over time.
Right.
And that's just the basic fundamentals. I do have a short chapter on it. If you guys want me to play it, it explains it a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Interactive.
Please
Why
do,
not?
man.
All right, let me bring it up real quick.
Yeah, and so in the meantime, Sheila's work, she's able to get the frequencies that are in this chart and plot them out in her work, and then get these coherent geometries for them. And I will just stumble at trying to explain it all. It's going to be an awesome episode when we have her on, and
I definitely am excited for that. I got some questions for her about her rodent coil as well and her setup. So that's going to be like, we're all making connections here. I love it.
Absolutely. It's what real science is all about.
Well, if you need to put together brochures or anything around this or presentation.
All right, so this is
that's me.
My chapter from Divine Science, Episode 1 on the thunderstorm generator and vortex-based mathematics. It's titled Plasmoid Unification Model 101. And I'll put these links in the chat when I get a second.
Unification model offers a complex solution to the problem of unifying everything, taking into account the properties and relationships of crystal form, sound, color, time, and angles. This technology revolves around the ancient numerical patterns found in structures such as the pyramids and other architectural wonders. These numbers, when analyzed, reveal a fascinating relationship between various ancient civilizations and their architecture, as proven by pioneers like Randall Carlson. Geometry is integral to understanding the PUM, and plasmoids generate and store charge using the principles of sacred geometry. Malkin's plasmoid diagram categorizes different aspects of the universe: ether, sun, matter, and time. When we understand the relationships between these 4 categories, we can begin to build a picture of how our universe actually works. Ether represents the underlying energy of our universe. It is DC energy at rest, as observed in Marco Rodin's vision. The source of the non-decaying spin of an electron, 0-point fluctuations in the vacuum. Ether can best be visualized by imagining the light paradox. The light paradox refers to a situation where all colors are present, yet there are no colors observed. Imagine you have a beam of light. If you take light going into a prism, you can see that light splits up into its frequencies and contains in itself all colors. This paradox arises when light contains a mixture of all possible colors. However, due to a phenomenon called color subtraction, when all colors are mixed together in equal amounts, they cancel each other out and no colors are perceived. Instead of perceiving a mixture of colors, The result is a perceived absence of color or white light.
So the ether is everything and nothing all at the same time, but it has different depending on the right, but depending on the different modalities and mechanisms of it, different forms of everything come out of it. So this is how we can have everything and nothing all at the same time. So it's very hard, and it was very hard for me to wrap my brain around until you think about it in terms of
only a godly creator consciousness or like higher dimensional
Ein Sof, right?
This is truly understand, right?
But
it's like you'll go and
this is the nothingness from which everything comes. Yeah.
This is the basic analogy, though, and I had to come up with another analogy through ChatGPT just to help me understand this next. And this next analogy might help you understand. I don't know, like it helped me a lot.
This paradox highlights the similarities between the ether, because ether contains within it all time, matter, and color, but this energy exists in a realm where there is no time, matter, or colors. Still confused? I don't blame you. Let's try another analogy. Imagine you have a magic toy box that can turn out any toy you can think of. How cool would that be? Now, this toy box is a bit magical because it can make all the toys appear and disappear instantly, just by thinking about it. But here's where things get tricky. Sometimes you want to have all the toys in your toy box at the same time, right? It's like having a big party with all your favorite toys. However, the magic box can only hold one toy at a time. So, you can only play with one toy while the others are waiting in line. The ether paradox is kind of like having all toys and no toys at the same time. It can be a bit confusing, just like the paradox of having nothing and everything all at once. But sometimes, these kinds of paradoxes help us think about the deeper mysteries of the universe and how everything is connected. So this is the paradox, and this is what our society lost through ignoring sacred geometry. By not learning the wisdom which was transmitted through ancient texts, wisdom was enshrined in, for example, the Great Pyramids so we wouldn't lose it. It makes sense. What is the one thing that would be left after a global calamity? Giant megalithic structures made out of stone. The sun acts as an intermediary between the realm of ether and the realm of matter, facilitating the flow of energy and the emergence of physical existence. The sun has the ability to imprint frequencies onto the surrounding energy called ether, transforming it into matter. It could be speculated that the interactions and movements of energy within the ether could potentially align with the recurring pattern of the 3, 6, and 9. Furthermore, in this hypothetical connection, the sun could be envisioned as a focal point or generator of energy within the ether. The energy emissions and processes associated with the sun could be seen as one manifestation of the underlying energy flow or vibration identified in the 369 pattern observed by Marco Rodin.
So this actually was confirmed by Malcolm himself, my theory on this, because again, he hasn't released much information on the plasma unification model, so I had to kind of intuit some of it. And he's a big fan of the show, so it's Malcolm approved.
Putting on our vortex math lens, the sun can be seen as the number 9 or the source of this energy at rest. Then we have time. Time is seen as the mold that shapes matter, with different dimensions, both 4D and 3D, playing a role in this process. Malcolm makes an analogy of transitioning from the sun to matter. This transition necessitates the involvement of time as a crucial element. Malcolm explains this transition by likening it to converting direct current into alternating current, which involves adding timing or time as a factor. However, traditional methods of conversion results in a loss of energy. All matter inherently possesses frequency characteristics, with time and the sun playing important roles in shaping and transforming energy into tangible matter. Malcolm argues that since time is mutable and can be reversed or sped up, light, which travels at a constant speed, serves as a reference point for proving that matter is fundamentally based on frequency in relation to time. That's where matter comes from, the interaction of frequency and time. Aether is a concept that represents the underlying fabric or essence of the universe. It symbolizes the infinite, formless, and all-pervading energy beyond physical matter. In sacred geometry, it is often associated with the concept of universal consciousness, or from the unmanifested potential from which everything arises. In summary, Malcolm's plasmoid unification model posits that all matter inherently possesses frequency characteristics, and time and the sun play important roles in shaping and transforming energy into tangible matter. Diving into the
So that's my chapter on plasmoid unification model 101. There are different chapters here. This is a full documentary on the PUM and vortex math and how intricately they're connected, and some of the backgrounds of the geniuses behind them.
You've been doing
I'm
absolutely great
I'm
work.
seeing phantom DNA, models all over this. This is really interesting. So yeah, thank you for sharing this.
Oh, no problem. Oh, and thank you, Bernie. I get discouraged sometimes, so it's good to hear good feedback.
No, this
Right?
is
As we all
right.
do.
Good idea, Bernie.
Right.
This is right up my alley. I mean, I love this stuff.
Yeah, it is it's a full hour and 23 minutes. So like when you have time, like watch it. It's a great like I watch it all the time just to brush up on, some of the details, but I took a long time to put it. Yeah, and some of these videos I take a long time to research them and make sure that they're as accurate as I can make them, whatever mistakes I put in, if I have an addendum or something, I'll put it in the pin on the comment. But usually that's very rare.
Oh, it's weird. I found you on Rumble. I didn't find you on YouTube.
I need to re-add Rumble. Rumble's good.
Rumble is
Anywho,
good.
sorry.
No worries.
But yeah, I got plenty of
As you're
videos
saying?
up here that are fun to watch, that go into these different subjects. So, and I'll be getting into different subjects as well in the future, like anti-gravitics, and I plan on doing an episode on pyramid power with Joe Parr and all that stuff. So,
have you ever been to Egypt?
Oh, well, we're going to be doing a series on it because it's a life's work, and we're
the Great
developing
Pyramid and energy of the source you're talking.
I wish I could go to see the Great Pyramids. Honestly,
we will get you there.
Hans has. You will all get there. Exactly.
I've been there twice. Mind
really?
blowing.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. No,
So
I
we're gonna have to do a
I
third
would
time
be in awe.
there.
No, I would be totally geeking out.
Oh, we all will be.
Well, you do when you go into the. I was talking about this actually yesterday on a interview with Ryan Belly, and so when you go into the King's Chamber, whatever they call it, if you go in there as a general tourist, you pay about $300. They take you up through this narrow corridor into the Grand Gallery. Then they take you up into the King's Chamber, and you have like a half-hour experience. If you go with a tour that has private access, you get 3 hours in there. And they open up basically the King's Chamber, Grand Gallery, Queen's Chamber, and then eventually the subterranean. And so you go up into the King's Chamber, and of course they tell you, well, we're in an Islamic country. You can't meditate. You can't chant. You can't do prayer. No religious ceremonies, no sacrifices.
They don't want you to put any resonance in that chamber. That's why.
But on the private tours, sadly, everybody does this. And so when I was there in 2016, we had this guy that was like 6'5", and when you go into the King's Chamber, I mean, it's a little bit more than a meter. It's a little bit more than a meter.
I like the green. But yeah, no, that on the way up to the King's Chamber, they had to build stairs in the Grand Gallery.
Oh, yeah, the whole Grand Gallery, they have stairs in the middle.
It's obviously not meant to be easily accessed.
No, it's a machine. I mean, this is where I'm going with this. So you get in the King's Chamber, and this guy scraped his head, and so he's bleeding on the floor, sadly, because there's an alcove that you dodge up into, and he was going through it and bumped his head. And so we had a blood sacrifice. Everybody's chanting. Everybody's meditating. My friends got married. It was like, oh, geez, we're breaking it all. The guard's just sitting there going, But you're in the king's chamber, and it harmonizes at F. It's F sharp, okay?
F sharp.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then the box harmonizes at A. And so if you're toning in the box and everybody in the room is toning at F sharp, you feel like you're enveloped in this fluidic energy in a sense. There's no way else to describe
crazy.
it. Yeah, I'm having an out-of-body experience in the middle of the vortex, in the middle of
it's causing you to go into the other like alpha theta waves in your brain.
Oh, it's because A is a negative fifth or a positive third from F sharp. So
that's probably the resonant frequency of the ether, which is just the higher state of consciousness.
For me, that blew my mind. But then I like to go to the subterranean, and I'll go down the dead end shaft, as they call it, and that thing's a little less than a meter squared. So you're crawling through on bedrock, and it's ripping you to shreds. And there's like a half-inch thick salt on the ceiling that people have carved their names in. Like, why is there salt down here? Because there was water running through this place, in ancient past.
Salt water and electrolyzed water.
Bingo. It's coming up from the well shaft, and they let you look down it. This is why only on the privateers they let you down into the subterranean. But you look down, and there's 3 layers that go in different directions. You can see it looking down in the well shaft. And so I go down before anybody. I want to go down there first because I've just had this amazing out-of-body experience in the King's Chamber. And then I go all the way down. You're going 500 feet under the bedrock. I mean, you're in the bedrock, but it's like almost 2/3 of the length of the pyramid. And then you get down there. I go down the dead end shaft all the way to the end of it. It's about 65, 70 feet. And at the end of it, it's cemented off, and there's a drill hole through it. So it obviously is not a dead end shaft. It goes elsewhere, but they've cut it off, and that's why they call it this. I'll turn off my torch. None of my electrical equipment works anyway outside of my torch. And so turn that off. I'll tone and then silence, and the silence becomes deafening. You're like, God, it's so loud down here. What is going on? And you're realizing I'm not hearing anything. It's all internal. It's like your own vibration. And so you have the out-of-body experience, and then you have this amazing grounding experience. And I can see why, after this place broke down and was no longer a functional device, the ancients would do their ceremonies in there. I mean, initiations. I can totally see why this would happen. You're in granite, like this amazing dark black pink Aswan granite is the King's Chamber mostly, and all of the Grand Gallery and part of the Queen's Chamber. And then the subterranean's all under the bedrock. But then the rest of the pyramid is what? It's limestone.
Limestone.
And so limestone conducts electricity, granite does not, but granite also creates a piezoelectric charge. And so
you're creating a supercapacitor battery, like charging, right? There's so much to the pyramid
feel
power.
Like you're in a damn machine in that thing. But those were my 2 experiences, and I would love to get you guys there. You would have the most amazing
We will
time.
do it. It's a 3-year plan. 3 years from now, the Middle East will be either flattened enough or settled and peaceful enough that we can go back and also we're going to build a better future in a 3-year plan, get us there. And anyone watching that wants to come on that tour with us, save up and make sure you're ready in 3 years' time for Egypt. But this month.
Okay, so I wanted to bring this up real quick because we're talking about ancient technology.
I see that here.
The pyramids are clearly a machine. Yeah, the pyramids are clearly a machine. If you look at them from the inside and you open your mind up a little bit, right? And I just want to explain how easy it is to induce bubble cavitation and induce a nuclear electromotive a nuclear electric collapse. It's as easy
Still
as
getting on. Still
ringing
getting.
a bell.
I don't even
So
know.
as you
Well,
can see, this is one of those. Yeah. So this is one of those
You
singing
can-
bowls,
yeah, you can strum them. Yeah. I don't.
and
know.
you
Strum
can
again,
see
strum
like it.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh no, I'm sorry. But you can see the water is actually jumping up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
sorry,
not
Ben. Do you
just-
mind putting that to full screen when you hit play, my friend? Thank you.
And look,
Yes.
it's going way, way, way high. So I think
Yeah,
green,
see,
yeah,
it's
I knew it.
jumping way up.
Yeah.
Like it's not just bubbling like you would think it is. Like and that's because the bowl is at a specific volume,
It's like
which
the
is producing a
trampoline
specific...
double bounce, right? Like the coherent,
Right.
like.
God, I should almost go get my other one. I have a larger bowl.
Right, and this is Malcolm's theory about the molten sea arc and how it was charging the Ark of the Covenant as a capacitor. This is the way it was charged. They would take this big pole, or I don't know what you would call it, like a mallet.
Also explain why they had so many of these precise, like certain mineral rock bowls and vases and whatnot that were just claimed to be regular stuff that we could probably not even reproduce half of them today, and that the difficulty and purpose of them was obviously technological as opposed to just some stupid.
When you induce bubble cavitation in water like this, it's very stable and safe. So you imagine doing this in a small bowl and then being able to pour it into a capacitor, which is just a bunch of wool. And that's basically it.
Exactly. So that's a major part of the cold fusion, the cold electricity, the Baghdad battery, but also the pyramid power of the ancients is that it's so simple of materials that are like
right, and the plasmoids are the missing ingredient. We look at these little jars and we're like, how can this power? So, but the plasmoids,
because we're thinking with destructive firepower,
Welcome,
this
Nathan.
is very different.
Hey, Nathan, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Hold on, let me turn off.
We got the whole gang here, almost.
Gang is back in
fill out my
town.
chair.
It's the Woo Woo Wednesday crew meets Fringe Friday Science crew all in one.
Yeah, it's a
fractal geometric.
Ooh, what you got for us?
Oh, check it out. We're talking about the pyramid, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And please put it on full screen before you hit play. Thank you.
So, granite and water is electrically conductive.
It is. Okay.
And it acts like a sponge, so it'll suck up all the water into it and keep it in there.
Really?
So when I was
he
in
was just telling us that on stream the other night.
Now, here's the thing. If you put it in the water, you can check the water, it's not conductive. If you check the granite out of the water, it's not conductive. But together they are.
So when I was in Egypt, Yusuf Iwan had this pillar, and he had the different Mohs scale rocks that are found in Egypt on it, and he had an electrical rod, and he would go through all of them, and a few of them had some conductivity to it, but limestone was the one that was just leaping off the charts. Granite didn't have hardly anything because of its crystalline mass. You'd think it was different, but this is, the pyramids were like an outer core.
Mason's saying you have to have the water and it together, and then it does actually make it the granite.
Yeah, no, that's key.
Right.
That's really, really interesting.
Soak it.
Because you look at all these sites, and what were they all next to? All these ancient sites that are using these
rivers,
these layering
and
effects.
oceans.
They're right next to rivers and oceans. Yeah, like
Yeah, it's a
running
fluoride.
water. Yeah. Sorry, what was that?
It's the fluoride that's making it conductive. We have it in rainwater. We also have it in our water here in California. They put it in there. but it's causing a chemical reaction, making it conductive.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know
Well,
that.
and also seawater as an electrolyte too. Brackish
Well, yeah,
so goes in
right.
as well with it too, and just also the flow of the current of water as water moves. It's an ion river, ion flow of charge as well that can be used for them. And then another thing that's not really been mentioned or considered is they could have had water wheels in a lot of the areas in these pyramid, like throughout Giza plateau and stuff, all of the caves, the channels, any canals, like a lot of those spots, it looks like could have been built for water wheels, which, then it's got the mechanical power.
That's actually a really good point. Peru's a little different, man. The pre-Inca civilizations that built a lot of the waterways in the mountains of Peru, mind-blowing. They knew how to direct water, how to create water pressures. Very, very fascinating stuff that you see in Peru. At Tipon. Tipon's an amazing site where you see some of that. Yeah, I was blown away in Peru. But in Egypt, obviously, there's two water systems there. One isn't there currently. It was called the Nile. And so there's researchers that think this, not just myself. I think Randall and some others are in this category. But when the Halcyon Comet event happened and the Halcyon Comet broke up over BC all the way into Persia and Iran, all these different chunks splashed down. Some of them splashed down the Mediterranean. All that would have been jungle back then, and water washed up and over this salty water from the Mediterranean into the northern African plains around the pyramids and caused this saltification over time.
Right, and the
if you look
deserts,
from
the
satellite
salt pits that are there.
Yeah. The Germans looked at satellite plottage of this and were like, "This is an ancient, waterway here. There was water that came over quickly," and so this is also interesting. I was chatting about this yesterday with Ryan Velli, but in Libya, they found on the border of Egypt and Sudan and Libya, they found this massive underground water aquifer, and so there was a huge project. In the early 90s, late 80s.
One of the reasons why they took out Gaddafi was because
no, of course. And sadly, the whole water aquifer was bombed, and there's a lot.
So was his canals that were going to grow like new garden oasis of Libya.
Well, so I got into it, and this is the weird part. I was looking at recycling programs. I was working with a company called Precycle at the time, and so the whole idea behind Precycle, ingenious idea, is if we have to recycle something, we've already lost, right? Okay. So if you bake into its existence the ability for it to be recycled,
reused, right? Make it reused
right. And so I was looking into Precycle programs. I lived in Hawaii for a minute. We were trying to convert a lot of the biomass there into like those clamshells that you get for to-go packages at hotels and restaurants, because everything in Hawaii is shipped there, and it was really sad to see that. It's like all the styrofoam's coming there. It's like, why? You have this biomass from the cane field.
Worst.
Totally reused.
No wonder all the turtles and dolphins are dead.
You get school projects involved in this, and you can get a hotel. I mean, it was a great plan. Anyway. Regardless of that, that's my IP. Just kidding. But regardless of that, I started looking into, well, every country has a waste project, and so how do we get rid of some of this waste? And in the middle of the Libyan desert were these huge, cement sections for the underground irrigation system. I mean, you could stack 3 semi trucks inside of these things in both directions. That's how big they were. And some of them were damaged in shipping. And so they're just sitting in the middle of the desert, derelict. I'm like, why can't we reuse these? Cut them up, make them into, a place where you can put potable soil or water systems. aeration water systems, sewage, storage bins. I mean, there's so many reuse projects, and I discovered what these were used for, and I'm like, wow, why have we never heard of this underground water project? Gaddafi wanted to feed all of northern Africa with it for free.
As give them the golden dinar, which would have completely crashed the oil petrodollar system,
which is sadly happening right now.
Why they got rid of him. Exactly. It was inevitable and is inevitable, and it's happening. We're in the process of it. So yeah. Anywho, that's why it's a golden opportunity for breakthrough technologies to come, because it's right. Yes. The petrodollar control system is crashing, energy scarcity is rising, and it's time for new technologies to take over and the world to be free.
Ding, ding, ding. Yes.
Hey guys, I wanted to show you something if it's okay.
Oh, please do.
Absolutely.
Here's Oumuamua, right? Or however you want to say it. Here's the black Pyramidion. Yep. Right on the right side of it, you'll see on my cursor. It shows it right there. They knew it was coming. The actual...
I actually have a photo of this. I'll have to dig it up. This is in the Cairo Museum. Yeah, I know it's on the bottom floor.
Yeah, you can see by the ridge right there on the bottom.
Yeah.
And the ridge right there. It's the exact same thing. It's just over time it shifts a little bit. But they knew it was coming, and it kind of coincides with the Day of the Dead that they have in South America, where you can, the first time that you can actually see this was when the moon and the sun lined up. Okay? That's the first time you can look around and see a moon, that whatever it's called, came into our solar system. So
interesting.
They have a lot of ties, and every time you see these things on the ground, I didn't have a picture of it. They would show where you can look at the moon and you can look at the sun, and they're right next to each other, okay, on the ground, and then you can observe them. So they were looking for this to come in. It's some kind of a sign to them on what's coming, into our solar system.
Or it's the Anunnaki coming back potentially, right?
Or it's the Dropa, because that's in my Dropa book.
Screw the Anunnaki. Cool. Weren't they coming back to destroy the Earth?
I think it's all one of the
same. Well, they're all a Syrian binary star system race of beings. Yeah. Anyway. That's all.
Wasn't that the legend? They were supposed to come back to destroy the Earth or something?
I'm not sure.
Oh, right on.
Tell us about the Dropa. The Dropa legend. What's included? Hans, flash your Dropa book one more time.
Slaves or something?
And what is the legend of the aliens for the Dropa stones? Are they coming back? Are they good? Are they bad?
Well, so the whole thing was, how did they get here in the first place? So deconstructing this down to a pinpoint, the Dropa 22,000 years ago in the Sirius star system, there was a war amongst the different races that were living in the system, and so Sirius is part of Canis Major.
Not sure got it. Hopefully they aren't racist. Whenever there's racist, there's race wars, and it's not
realiencists. Don't be a realiencist.
I'm a little optimistic, and I'd like to believe that somebody or a species that has the ability to travel intergalactically would be evolved spiritually as well. I'm an optimist that way, but I realize there's probably a spectrum.
Well, this is interesting because this race of Dropa become intermixed when they get here. Anyway, back to short story short. They have this cosmic war amongst these civilizations. The war destroys one of the most inhabited civilian-based moons through what is described as nuclear technology. There's a lot of stories that go into creating this narrative. Anyway, I'm just giving you the overview.
Moon or planet? Because
it's a moon.
I'm with the belief of
no. It's described as a moon. Okay. Anyway, this gets into the Buddhist stuff.
Keep going.
And so they end up coming here 10,000 years ago after their scientists discover basically we can go to other stars. We're a type 2 civilization in a sense. We've been doing this through our war, but let's band together, build these cigar-shaped arcs or generational ships, and travel to other stars to find and have Goldilocks worlds, basically, that we can either colonize or terraform for us to be able to live on. Well, 10,000 years ago, the Dropa ship from Sirius ends up in our solar system. And so they come here, they realize, oh my God, Earth is very much like our planet. The sun is very different. The gravity is very different. We're going to send down some exploration vehicles. We've been traveling for, 4,000 or 5,000 years, from Sirius to get here, or longer. This is why they're generational sleeper ships. And, well, these aren't the Dropa stones. Those aren't either. Anyway. But yeah, the Dropa stones are very similar to Bidiscs. And so, hold on a second. That's why I'm kind of laughing like this.
Right? Because Hans has actually lived in Mongolia and actually has real ones.
Nepal.
Nepal, sorry. Nepal. I got that wrong. Sorry.
This is a red jade Chinese. It's a Chinese Bidisc. And so the glyphic writing on it is Proto-Chinese. It's before most of what we see today with Mandarin and Cantonese Chinese language. This is all glyphic writing before it, and the Dropa stones are described very similar to this. But
sorry, can you hold that up one more second, Hans? To try to get some of the glyphs focused in on. And it's this is how you know this stuff isn't forged or faked, because before AI and to have to go in and get proto languages, to come up with the actual exact hieroglyphs that were pre and the current language, it's just how the accuracy and the amount of work to get that right. It's just crazy. But now AI is proving when we get the databases of all of these UPART artifacts of proto languages, like Proto-Sumerian, like Proto-Hieroglyphic, like Proto-Sanskrit.
Speaking of alien script, this new LLM, what is it, Yama script, AI is they're comparing it to an alien.
What?
Interaction. Yeah, no, you got to look this up. Yeah. And that also is, I should have sent you that article as well, because that was kind of part of where I was going with the synthetic DNA.
Okay, how do we spell the script?
Llama, Llama. Just look it up under articles. They're describing it as it's beyond alien. It's so fast and incredible.
Sorry, one more time.
Llama, Yama, right? Like Yama Sutra, my friend. that's Kama Sutra. That's funny because that's what we called our crew when we were in Peru. Yama Sutras.
I like that. Yama Sutra.
Gotta be invented.
Right? Did I get it? Hold
Let
on.
me. I'll. My business colleague sent it to me. I'll find it here on my phone real quick.
I think I didn't get it. I got something else.
Rum, bum, bum, bum. Hold on.
Weird.
Rar. Nope.
Okay. I had put llama first, and all that came up was llamas.
No, go look for articles under llama DNA, or sorry, AI. Where is this?
Ooh. That's probably the key word missing.
It's like ChatGPT times 55 million.
All it's given me is pictures of freaking Facebook Meta and a llama.
What are you looking for?
Spell it out one more time for Nathan, please.
It's LLAMA, but it's an AI.
Just like this is what I'm getting when looking that up.
No.
That's not useful.
Right?
Like,
Like seriously, just
no, don't put script.
Yeah, I not want us to see.
No, you want an article. You're
Just
looking for an
This
article.
one, cool llama.
Put up llama AI alien.
Cool
and,
marketed.
Yeah.
No, anyway. Alien. Yeah. No, go back to all, not images. Come on, brother. This is not an image.
Oh, okay. It's because I'm only on images. That is the. I want to see the script.
So many pictures of llamas.
It is
Looking for
the
alien pictures? Is that what it is?
Bro, you're definitely hooked on
No, I'm
the
looking
Yama
for the
Sutra.
script. I'm looking for
No,
the script.
you're hooked on the Yama Sutra there. I'm sorry.
What? No.
What?
None of that. None of the AI llama stuff. All right. Artificial intelligence.
Meta's open source LLM. Yeah. It's 405 billion parameters. Yeah. They call it alien intelligence. Yeah, alien intelligence. Right. Yeah.
What? Multi-dimensional llama AI. What the heck? Rabbit hole are we going down here? Alien llama AI. What?
So again, it's like what have we been receiving from this
llama hole.
radio?
Look at the llama hole.
Hashtag llama hole.
Hashtag AI llama hole.
Ooh la la la.
Okay. Oh, we got to go to more.
So they're giving it all this really interesting, bingo. I mean, is clickbait headline or not?
Right? Like what the?
So in the article you were
store.
just in, they mentioned, yeah, exactly, SETI. And so here we have this radio, telemetry out there in New Mexico, wherever it is, Arizona, New Mexico, and receiving radio, data from this repeating burst every 20 minutes from a specific sector of the stars. And so in 2017, they released, again, all this information about synthetic DNA. And, is this our ability to start talking with aliens? And all of a sudden, wow, there's 36 communicating alien races in our sector of the Milky Way. And it's just like, well, are we eavesdropping on them? Are we part of the conversation? What's actually going on here? And then, so you got synthetic DNA. If you think about contact, you're sending all of this information from Vega in that sense. Well, talking about Oumuamua came supposedly from a Vegan trajectory or Syrian trajectory, depending, but it was slingshotted and got into its gravitational rotation. I say gravitational because the way that it's spinning, it creates an artificial gravity inside of it if it was hollow. And so that would have basically happened around the magnetic attraction of a binary star system. Well, Sirius is in the area of Vega in the sky, and so interesting. In contact, we get messages from Vega, so Oumuamua, Vega, contact Vega. But here we are receiving possibly a code that teaches us how to build a genetic DNA that can be used as a alien avatar, perhaps. I mean, I was talking about this earlier tonight. My father started bringing this stuff up to me, and so we had these back and forth conversations about this, which blew my mind because my father's like very sincere and solid cultural anthropologist, But he was kind of into the whole Bigfoot thing when he worked at Washington State University. His office was next to Grover Krantz, huge Bigfoot expert back in the 70s and the early 80s. And then when he worked in Bhutan, his flat that he rented was across the street from the entrance to the Soktang Wildlife Preserve, which is a preserve for the Magoi, which is the Yeti or the Bigfoot of Bhutan, the wild man that smells like rotting garlic. And so I was like, oh, I never, I kind of thought he was into some of these subjects, but he never really alluded to it until recently, oh. And so the joke was, back in the day, he was a social forester. Oh, I talk to trees, right? That was his joke with a friend of mine. And then he started talking about studying microchloral anthropology. And well, what's that? Well, it's the study of little green men. And so, microchloral anthropology. It's a joke. It was my dad's joke.
Okay.
But if you think about it, microchloral, right? Little green or little blue green. And anthropology is a study of humanity or man, in a sense, so little green men.
Oh, it's a brilliant pun. I love it.
Oh, seriously.
And it's also a dad joke too, so it's right up my alley.
So that was, his whole shtick. But, in the last few years, he's been sending me these crazy articles all the time. And in 2017, we started corresponding over radio waves, synthetic DNA building out some of these concepts. And, all of a sudden, all these other disclosures came out in 2017. And so, we started getting into this old Dropa story now, so I kind of had to give a little context. But the Dropa, very interesting culture. It's a transliteration that works across most of South Asia. So in Far Eastern Kham Tibet, Central China, they're the Dropa. There's stories around who these people are. A lot of it I set out to debunk and discovered a lot more behind it. And realize that the people doing the research into these fields didn't really do a lot of research into these fields. And so some of it is like, okay, I'm debunking the debunkers. And then the other half is, okay, what's really going on here? Because here you have this nomadic race of people coming out of this area of China. They have this direct connection through their form of Buddhism called Nyingma Buddhism directly to Sirius. And so there's this aspect that's not really discovered in their story, in the historical storyline. And when you look up the Dropa, nobody talks about this. I do, because I researched this in my thesis, not them in particular, but Buddhist cultural mysticism. And so I started finding this connection in Bhutan, where my dad was working, and I got access to the stories of levitation, the stories of ascended Tolku masters, the stories of astral projection, Mount Meru ascending as a dimensional portal, as the chakra points of the earth. So you start with Shambhala deep in the earth, this sacred city of Agartha or Shambhala or Shangri-La, and then there's different dimensions, different chakra points that go to the summit of the mountain. Well, the mountain's a real mountain. It exists in Tibet. It's on the northwest corner next to Ladakh. And so this is a very interesting place. Mount Kailash, very different. Mount Meru, also very different, but it's considered a dimensional portal as well. And so when you get to the summit, it connects by a rainbow bridge.
Mount Kailash,
to Sirius. Mount Kailash is another mind-blowing story there. Oh.
But yeah, it's documented by Russian scientists and Chinese and whatnot, that literally it's known for accelerating your hair and fingernail
your growth. The only
I heard about that.
There was a Russian group in the 60s that went up it.
Gravitational anomaly.
And they started aging rapidly. They never made it to the summit. And when they came down, they all died within a year or two of old age. And it was crazy. Right. They had aged so dramatically.
So the legends of portals, it's not unfounded. There's actual documentable anomalies. And
so that movie you all watched, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, Old, that's real.
I've actually never seen it.
Me neither. Right? I'm going for the opposite.
It's a good one. I don't know. He's a hit or miss, you know. So.
He's been a lot of miss more than a
What
hit.
a twist! What a twist!
Yeah.
I do like a lot of his movies, though. I'll give it that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was some good ones.
I haven't watched.
Is real.
I don't have time. Movies are like hit or miss these days. It's hard to find time.
But
Right.
if they had a lava tube, then it would make sense why there would be anomalies, because that's the only thing that Earth makes that can actually go from one area to the next and be protected because of all the different minerals and deposits on the outside walls to hold in the lava.
Oh, wow.
That's
And
most of Hawaii. It's Mount Shasta where I was last month.
It's a good point, Nathan.
This time last month, but that's interesting that you say that because it's very true. You have that kind of effect, and in a sense, the pyramids are recreating that without the lava tube, right? You're still using similar minerals, similar, capacitor
Mechanisms.
effects. Yeah. Interesting. Thank you for bringing that up. That's quite fascinating.
Yeah, because when you see lava in Hawaii and it starts running over cars, you start wondering to yourself, what's going to hold this in? And the only thing that can hold it in is lava itself. So when it starts building around it, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And then it blocks out everything else. So if you wanted to get from here to underneath the earth to like a DARPA or something like that, it would have to be through something like that.
Secret to Elon's tube network or whatever, the hypertube.
The Hyperloop.
Oh, that failed.
I don't know. Apparently, you didn't listen to Trump and Elon's X space because
no. Stop. You're all missing the bigger story. Okay, so he has a company called the drilling company, right? What is it called? I can't remember the name of his drilling company.
Right? Something.
Okay,
hole. Elon's hole. We'll just refer to it as Elon's hole drilling.
Okay. Okay.
He has this. He has SpaceX, right? And Hyperloop.
How close does SpaceX sound to space sex? Like,
is that the mile above the Mile High Club?
It's all very Freudian, if you ask me. I mean, giant penis-shaped space shuttles with Jeff Bezos'. Did you see that?
Oh, Jeff Bezos is right. Like, it was so regarded. Yeah. And then what's?
That reminds me of Austin Powers.
I'm trying to think of Elon's other one, Neuralink.
Oh, dude!
So we've got the origins of Total Recall with Neuralink, right?
Oh yeah, no,
and
you
we
see a
can
lot
now drill into the moon with it's called the Boring Company. That's what it's called. So we can now drill into
don't
the moon.
Look into the Boring Company. It's boring. Don't look into Elon's drills.
Right. Okay. So the Boring Company. So if we can take his drills into space with all these failed rocket attempts, which are subterfuge perhaps, and he gets to the moon with these devices, we can bore into the moon. We can have Hyperloop there because of the low Earth gravity of the moon.
See, that would work good in low gravity.
It would actually work.
That would work good in low gravity. I would admit that. That's what I'm saying.
And so it's like, why? It's not technology developed for here. It's technology developed for there.
Yeah, that makes sense. You develop something here and then make sure it works. So you.
Oh, but one of those drills is way too heavy. It isn't if you break it up into multiple pieces.
Yeah. No doubt, actually, and what's actually going on the moon and the dark side that we never see.
Look, we're gonna try and reland all these rockets. While we
is there
15
cheese
others.
on the moon?
Right, especially at the North and South Pole with the ice caps.
Why send up a bunch of stuff up there when you can make it? Why not put up a refinery? I mean, stuff like that. Why not? That's the right way to go.
Roquefort,
that's what I think.
Bring some orange peels and your good brie, and then you make the good Roquefort on the moon, and you will have the most amazing dreams you've ever had in your life because all that cheese is exposed to cosmic rays more so than here and there.
And H3 or O3, one or the other. I think it's H3 that's all over the moon, isn't it?
You know,
hydrogen.
The H2 or H3.
Yeah.
as much as I'd like to go to the moon, I always go back to that story that they told. I forget which astronaut. They said there was an eerie
With Santa
presence.
Claus and the bogies. And
They
Santa
had
Claus
experiences.
No, one of the Apollo missions.
Even on Apollo
they went on
11,
the
they
moon,
had
they
experiences
an eerie
with
presence, like they
meeting their
weren't-
ancestors when they were coming into the orbit of the moon.
Oh,
And all three,
okay.
Michael
Interesting, like a
Collins,
cosmic
they all
record
talked
piece.
about this. Yeah.
But they said
So,
when they
like,
were
I
on the
gotta-
surface of the moon, they felt like they weren't welcome.
They were being watched, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were. Have you seen the lost tapes or then the lost radio transmissions? Like they literally are describing like
the
being
cut,
chased around
yeah.
and shit. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
No
great.
wonder they look like clowns. No, just kidding.
It's interesting stuff.
And then
I don't know if it's real or not,
that
it's like
that jerk who went around and he tried to get one of them to admit that he was
on
full
Joe
of that.
Rogan's recently, actually.
Oh man, what a jerk, man. I would have punched him too.
What did he do?
Bartrell or whatever his name is.
all the flat
One of the
Earth-
astronauts. Yeah, he kept
the
on
flat
bugging
earthers
this
up.
Yeah,
astronaut.
he bugged Buzz Aldrin, and Buzz Aldrin punched him out.
Yeah.
And then he went to somebody else's house. God, who was it? It was not.
Don't mess with Buzz.
Yeah.
It was
Toy Story should have taught you
it was
that. Don't
Armstrong.
mess
No, he
with
went to
Buzz.
Armstrong's house, and he didn't want to answer any of his questions, and so he left. And Armstrong's like son, Neil Armstrong's son or whatever, was like, "Can we call the CIA to whack him?" And they had left the mic on him, and so he caught all this on tape. Bart,
Wait, what?
Bart something.
What?
Yeah, no, he talks about this on Rogan, but it's also in a funny thing happened on the way to the moon. Anyway, you guys all look it up. That's the name of the video that it comes from.
I'm gonna have to. That's pretty wild.
Because he discovered a bunch.
Interesting.
He discovered a bunch
Lots
of
stories.
footage that NASA sent him, and it looks like they're faking the distance that they are from the Earth, and so they're holding up a stencil in front of the
I've
window.
seen those, right?
Yeah. So that's all part of this
Yeah,
video.
yeah.
I was
So
always
what
skeptical.
I suspect
but-
is like
There's
if the
a lot of
lost tapes
fakery, but I'm
are
sure
real,
pretty
that
sure
it's
we-
like they probably pre-recorded stuff. Yeah, it's like that we actually went, but they had pre-recorded stuff and fake stuff for whenever they encountered anything or whenever anything went wrong, and then they just put that on and switched over to the private channels, sort of thing. That's what I
Right.
suspect to be the case.
That makes the most logical sense.
Who
I think
knows?
out of that. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I always thought it was a healthy
Right,
dose of like real, like the real and pre-recorded, but because they did have still shots that they pre-recorded, you know.
I have a book that I sadly typed from a client of mine years ago. It was sitting on
To
the
hype up
coffee
the TV.
table. And I'm like, no, it's one of the anniversary Apollo books. And I'm like, I really want to borrow this. And so I just borrowed it. Never didn't end up working for the company after a while. And so I never actually brought it back. I have it on my shelf. And man, I see what Widener is talking about with lines in the photography where you can literally see where the edge of the front screen projection is with the edge of the set. And they're in almost every photo. It's unbelievable.
they have faked the atomic blast when you see them. Like you see all the stuff.
All
along
those
the way,
houses that are rippling apart are all models.
But the camera doesn't move.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The camera doesn't have any shocks
Yeah.
coming to it. It has no blast coming to it. It looks perfectly clear.
Well, I
right?
was always wondering with those ones. Well, with those ones, there should have been radiation interference
Yeah.
in the actual
to blow out
footage
your
of
camera.
the film, right? Like, I was
No.
like, where the F is that? And like, clearly,
Where is
Clearly,
camera?
that's
Well, it's
nothing.
miles away.
Camera.
But still.
well, at least what they released to us, right?
Yeah, we don't have a zoom that good. Okay, not for an atomic blast. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way.
I love that
Not
our
from the
our
60s.
orbiting satellites of our own planet
40.
can zero in on a golf ball in somebody's trunk 3 stories underground in a parking garage and read you the label on the golf ball. But when they show us photos of the Apollo landing sites on the moon, they look like Twinkies in a rubble field. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
can we not? The LRO has better camera technology on it than most of our satellites that are photographing a golf ball in the backseat of a car in a parking garage. You know,
Did you see the ones they have of Mars where it says it's not actually red on the surface? Where it's
oh yeah, I've actually
different
done
color?
the adjustments. So Richard Hoagland talks about this in his book Dark
Oh,
Mission.
Richard Hoagland's great.
Yeah, Hoagie. But
Cydonia.
it's interesting because I started, Cydonia also relates to ancient Egypt. And so the whole land of Phoenicia that wrapped around, it's along the 33rd degree parallel where all the pyramids are and the Sphinx is called Cydonia. Well, what did NASA or Farouk, the NASA Egyptian scientist, name this area of I believe he named it. I might actually be wrong. I know he was part of the Apollo stuff. But this is also the early 70s when we went to Mars with Viking. So yes. And interestingly, with Viking, real quick, they discovered water in the atmosphere. So there was water discovered on the Viking mission, but they never talk about it. It's in the papers if you read them. But
there's water in space.
Of course, and
right.
this is what I was going to ask you guys.
There's
What
ice caps of Mars. There's
what
ice
your
caps
thoughts
of the
are
moon,
about fluidic space? But real quick, the area that they were most observing around Mars was the north 33rd degree parallel, right? This area that Hoagie talks about, where the vortex would spin in a tetrahedron or reverse tetrahedron inside of the Earth, and
right?
and
Yeah, where
so
the mount.
yeah,
giant,
Hawaii, all these
volcano is
major
there on.
sites, major activities are. Okay, this is the 33rd degree in a sense. Okay, and so this area that they found these derelict pyramids on Mars and the supposed face, right, is on this 33rd
Cydonia,
degree
definitely
north
a face.
parallel, and they named it
Really?
Cydonia. And so here we have this direct relation
Wow.
to the ancient Phoenician commissions. Boom.
Nice.
Cairo
like-
is an Arabic word that means Al-Kahir, or Al-Kahir, and it is the city of Mars. That's what it means, Cairo.
Is
the
this
city of Mars.
evidence of a Stargate, everybody?
Oh, wow.
Potentially.
Robert
Robert Mock.
recording this somewhere.
Who was it? Robert Mock? No.
Wait, go back to that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man. I said Stargate, I got excited and knocked shit over.
Interesting.
That's Mount Olympus, the largest volcano
back to
mountain
Mount
on
Meru.
Mars.
So here you're connected to Sirius through a Rainbow Bridge. We're looking at the Rainbow Bridge right here.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
cool.
Thank you, Bernie. Right? Okay.
Nice.
And where else do we hear of the Rainbow Bridge connecting us to other worlds? Well, this is the Bifrost and the Nordic, legends.
Right.
Okay. But when you're in the
Yeah.
Himalayas and you're on the Tibet Plateau and you're on the roof of the world, in a sense, right? The Milky Way would look like pardon my French, an effing rainbow in the sky because you don't have any light pollution cutting it out. I
Right.
witnessed this in Peru. I was blown away with looking at the Milky Way in Peru. You're at 13,000 feet and it's right there, and it's a rainbow that stretches from the top of the mountains to the horizon. And so, is this your Rainbow Bridge symbolically as well? So, I mean, the Buddhist mysticism is talking so much interesting stuff, but this huge connection to Sirius. And so it always keeps coming back to Sirius.
Yeah. Serious is serious.
About serious.
Seriously.
We seriously might have come from
Sorry,
Sirius,
we kind of
guys.
went off topic a few times, but yeah, no, that was kind of
It's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, no, this is all really cool. I love this graph. I'd like to get into it a little bit.
Oh yes, the
I'm
Walter Russell.
blown away. Here's your Rainbow Bridge, right? It's a spiral.
Yeah.
If you were to look at this in a dimension, it would be spiraling, right?
You got all your elements there, and then and inert gases and noble
Right.
gases. Wow.
That makes so much sense. This is the Walter Russell, one of 20 different Walter Russell periodic tables.
I wonder if we
something
could
like
pull up the
this.
PUM and see if there are any connections, because I bet there were.
Oh, there's
You'd
huge.
see
There's
some
huge
connections
amounts. Yes,
between them.
absolutely. You're bang on with that. I
Wow, this is
actually included that in
fantastic.
my email to Sheila yesterday, talking about that.
We really need to get Malcolm Bendel on here.
Oh, we shall. Did you want to bring that up, Ben? I forgot to compare it.
Do what?
The plasma, or here I got this guy. Compare this guy right here. And so the color charts of the frequencies and the octave aspects, combining and comparing it with
let's see if the colors and the elements are the
octave.
same on both charts.
I guaranteed it will apply and work, and that this is what we need to put into the computer AI systems to figure out. Oops, sorry.
Like
Cobalt and
there looks like a lot of them
is in the yellow.
Them Solomonic sigils.
Can you go up?
Right.
TCM.
Yep.
So aluminum's in the 5th octave. That's exactly where I get more power in my device.
Oh boy, yeah, that's crazy,
right?
Wow.
It takes it exactly to the 5th octave to get more power.
Oh, that makes sense, Nathan. That's awesome.
Walter Russell confirmed.
You guys want to see a cool video?
Yeah.
I got one for you.
He's always, yes, please. Take a look, see.
Please, thank you.
Hold up.
Oh boy.
There we go. There we go.
There
Could
we
be as
go.
a
Sorry.
cost, so all good. Just don't want to get copyright striked. All right. What
It
exactly?
gets so much static on the plate, it lifts.
So this is interesting.
Lifting.
I've had a conversation about this, something similar to this. When I was in Hawaii at the Nassim Haramein
Shout out Nassim Resonance Academy.
the Resonance Project, in 2013, there were a couple of guys that were showing off devices like TT Brown devices, where it was a today you do it with 3D printing, but back then they were it was cut basically, so it was these cut pieces of some sort of resin, obviously nothing that's conductive, and then they coil wrapped and braided like 5 mil copper wire around the thing and attached it to a battery source and charged it. It was like a 9-volt battery. And they charged the thing up and it started spitting out all the colors of the rainbow and white all at once, lifted off the table for 3-4 seconds and then dropped back down.
Like in a corona discharge?
Yeah,
almost?
very much.
Yeah.
The color of magic.
But it had different colors?
Wow.
Yeah, all at once. It's like
Yeah.
it's how the color of magic in Terry Pratchett's books are described. Octavian, they call it. It's this white light that has all these lights.
It's sending waves to the ether.
Correct.
I get white, purple, pink.
Bingo. Yeah.
Okay.
This is
all those colors in high voltage.
Yeah. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. The color of magic, basically.
Yeah, it all depends on how many.
So here,
I put
fantasy writer talking about this in his books about magic, and it's literally what you see when you see these devices go off. And so, I was blown away seeing this. I mean, and I'm an artist. I'm not a scientist, so in my mind, it's like, what am I looking at? How do I wrap my mind around what I just saw? I just saw this thing lift off the table after being charged and float on its own free will, generating energy before it fizzled out, basically. And so that's laboratory bench. I mean, if you could plug that into a battery that continually generates, then man, you've got lift forever.
Hans, you really need to track that guy down. Jeremiah.
Everybody keeps
still
I know
asks
he.
me every
I
time
know
talk
he.
to him,
He
they're like,
last time we chatted about that, he's like, "Dude, you
like,
gotta."
I need to see. But one interesting aspect of that rainbow coloring, and that what Mehran Keshi teaches with Keshi Foundation with his nano coating with flame, when you right before you get to the red hot level of a metal of heating, before you get to that state, you'll actually turn it. It'll turn like a shimmering silver and then to rainbow color. And it'll just give you rainbow everywhere, right? And that it's like it's this meta state.
It's melting down the outer shell of because it's burning from the inside
of the matter and like breaking it into light and plasma. Essentially,
that's the last burst. It's the last light of
taste the
setting
rainbow.
sun that shines upon the keyhole, right? Quoting.
And I gotta state with what Nathan was saying with the purple and the pinks, that's like your UV spectrum and like the cold side of electricity and voltage and energy as opposed to the infrared.
That's the hot side.
It's
I get that with my Tesla
coil. When you start to get
really, so it's like inverse here. It's inverse. That's interesting.
Because you have to add amps to get the different colors. So depending on how many amps you get, the color you get. So it'll go from pink to, you put in less amps, it'll get to a purple. You know what I mean? And it'll go back and forth. One thing I wanted to do was rotate it and then put in like a butane torch to it and just heat the metal while I was doing it. I bet I can get a bunch of yellow and, you know what I mean, whites and stuff like that to come out of it.
Definitely do experiment with that.
So Ben, you were talking earlier about amplification of light and light sources, and when you start overlapping light, you get this pure white light. Well, this is what red, green, blue is, and so when you use a red filter, a green filter, and a blue filter, and you overlap them in that Venn diagram in the middle, you get a brilliant white light. And so, and interestingly, this is kind of the alchemical light in one aspect, but then when you combine pigments, right? So red, green, and blue, you get this rich alluvian black, this prima materia. So here we are with the alchemical symbols, right? You have your fire and your light and your soil and your water. And so the fire of the light is what creates this white brilliance. And then the prima materia,
I have to just interject quickly.
Metamaterial creates the darkness. Anyway,
this is exactly what I need to learn.
No, you're bang on with
about is the alchemical.
Symbolism. So that's what I'm going to state and show right here is that the ancients were very advanced in their understanding of elements and their different states of matter, and that in fact fire is plasma, the highest state. Then you have water, which is liquid. You have air, which is a gas, and then you have earth, which is a solid.
See, that all makes sense now.
Matter, and that flame,
all makes sense.
Plasma, that's up. It goes up. Air, that's a gas. It also goes up. Well, earth, that's a solid. It goes down. Water, it's also a solid, and it goes down. And that earth goes further down than the liquid.
So what's the line going through the pyramid? An air and earth?
Yeah, so those were the heaviest of the middle. Sorry, I think it's the middle ones. Yeah, see, these are
everything above it is in the atmosphere, and everything below it is attached to Earth, and the other way around. Everything below the line with Earth is underground, and everything else above it is attached to it.
You guys want to see the color change?
Absolutely.
Give us the juice. Give us the juice.
So let me add the file here. Oh, it's not up on there. Okay.
Thanks, Bernie. This has been a fascinating evening.
Right? Like a lot of connecting dots, and it keeps coming together more and more.
Well, just
and here I was just going to go to sleep.
A lot more about a lot of these elements. It's like, okay, I now have a broader understanding of some of the science behind it. Having been there, I've got the physicality of some of these ancient sites. Now we're expressing, how they're working in a plasmoid or piezoelectric state, which is what was
Originally,
thought.
I was going to build this thing as an atmosphere motor, and well, I failed. So I decided to just hit it with a lot of high voltage and see what it looked like. And well, you can see that it pretty much is starting on fire.
It changes all the colors in it.
All right. Anyway, it's pretty cool, man. Take a look, have fun with it, and towards the end there's some.
You can see the purples in there. You can see the yellows.
Anyway, if you like this kind of stuff, like and subscribe. But have fun with it. Thanks.
You're gonna have to do the torch to it next, but yeah, you can definitely see the purples, the yellows.
Take a low or a high frame rate camera to it, and then slow it down.
Yes.
Good idea.
You should
Wow.
do, yeah.
So that's the original electric arc before it caught fire. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so it goes from like a plasma, like a little purple state, goes into white. It all depends on the heat. So as the plastic behind it was heating up, you start to see the more white, you know what I mean? The yellows, stuff like that. So that's why like a plasma torch with some aluminum as it's spinning would probably put off a beautiful rainbow. So just a little high voltage fun.
Interesting.
I got plenty of those.
All righty. Well, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, so I'm end it now just because then we can try out the AI feature and get several little shorts automatically made out of this, and let all of you lovely people get some sleep or rest or back to your work and projects. And Ben, Nathan, probably see you later tonight for Fringe or Free Energy Friday. And Hans, my man, always a pleasure.
Thanks again, brother. A pleasure. This
was nice talking to you. Thank you.
Likewise. Sorry you cut out. I kind of had to take the torch and just storytelling around the campfire. So
it's Hans's show on the Woo Woo Wednesday on a Thursday that turned out to be Friday. So let's do this again next actual Wednesday. And until then, my friends, we will see you this evening, and ta-ta.